Hey, Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com, and today I'm going to talk about really the 5 things to make sure you communicate at the end of your story, right? Like what you really are getting from your work. So, one of the best tools you have, and one of the biggest areas of challenge that you have often is your story is the best tool, but you don't think so. Right, that's I know that resonates because I felt that way for a long time before I really understood that actually the truth of your story, that early stage, that's the thing that connects. And so in my blueprint process, in the process book, in all of my teachings, I hammer the story. I mean, in a big way, because I understand that if you learn how important your actual story is, right, your life happens for you, not to you, according to Tony Robbins. That's the whole connection of your story. If you understand how powerful your story is, you will realize that that is the greatest tool that you have, that everything else just serves it. But your story is the thing that really, really connects with people. And so, I give you the recipe for talking about the struggle, the challenge, the desire, the problem that led you on your journey, and then your journey, and then from your journey, how you discovered what you were doing, and all the trials and errors, and then what you saw, right? All that stuff is leading up to your experience, right? Your experience is that 5th part of the story. And so the whole power to the story is the connection with people. It's that people relate, because everybody you talk to, they're trying to solve problems. That's what you are, as a problem solver. So you have to understand how good your story really is. And so I want to help you here with this last piece, because this, I think, is where people don't get it, right? Because most people think if you don't have this dramatic success story, this huge income story, this awesome product story, your story's no good. They're missing the point, right? What makes your story good is the whole story. That's just sort of the ending, right? And the ending needs to stay relatable, because if it's relatable, then it's attractive, and then it means hope. If it's too big, then people can't connect. And I'm just being real. If you have the story, like I have a story, I've made millions of dollars in the industry. If I use that story in sitting with a prospect, if that's why they sign up, that is the wrong reason for them to sign up, right? That's the wrong reason, because what I've accomplished has nothing to do with them, right? It needs to be more connectable. But the other part about that is they're not likely to sign up from that, right? Or if you tell them you're making $20,000 a month, or 30 or 50 or whatever that number is, if it's a big number, the difference between where they are and where you are, that gap is too big, right? There's nothing in their wiring that makes them think that would ever happen for them. So what you've done is actually make your story not relatable when you use that big money story. And I've certainly talked about this more than just in this video and blog. But the fact is that when you do that, the kinds of people you would attract are who you don't want. They're the ones that are just about the money. And that's not who you want. They're not going to stay with you. They're not going to be loyal. Nobody's loyal to money. They just move to wherever they can get it. And so here are the things that really are powerful. So you're in the back end of your story, right? You've communicated all the other things, and now you're sharing what your experience has been. So this is huge. This is huge. These things are powerful and meaningful for your prospects. So one you can share is about how great the community is, how much support there is, how great the people are, how encouraging they are, because people aren't experiencing that in their life. You've just given them an entire another realm of benefit that they didn't even know existed. So that's one thing. The next is how much you're learning, right? How much you're learning and how that's helping you in your life. Because again, what you're doing is showing how your whole life is being improved. You're taking it off this whole thing about let's sign up and get started. You're taking it to enormous benefit that there is just for being involved, right? When you talk about all that you're learning and what that's doing for you. Product or service experience. This is pretty easy because you're going to have an experience with your product or service. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You can just say, I love the product. That's good enough. Right? It doesn't have to be, well, I became Hercules, or, my tumor fell out of my pocket, it doesn't have to be that, right? And too often it is, right? It's got to be magic. No, magic is not relatable. Magic plays into that instant gratification thing that people have, but that's what leads to disappointment and people leaving, right? So you don't want to use magic. And so just benefits of product and service, great right here, great right here. And then great tools. That's another thing, because remember, people are thinking, can I do it? Can I do it? Well, tools help them see that they can do it, right? If you use the video, you talk about the video. If you use great training, you talk about the great training. You talk about how simple it is to work, right? Because of the tools, and then that leads into it's easy to work, and there's great support, because that goes back to, can I do it? Will I get help? Can I do it? Will I get help? And everything you've said has fed into that. If you've got a business result, you have to temper it. If it's a big one, temper it. Unless one of those rare situations where you're sitting down with a big money person, meaning they've made a lot of money in their life and they want to know, do you make a lot of money? And if you do, you don't talk about how much, you just say, yeah, I've done really well. Or people do this, but that is just very, very rare. That's not where I want you to be, right? I'm not your teacher for that kind of stuff, because I'm not going to teach you that. That's not long-term stuff. But, let's say that you've, got 5 customers in your first month, or you're making some progress and that's making a difference. Those kinds of business results, those are meaningful, right? Because they're not too big of a leap. They're not so far out here that your prospect's like, well, that'll never happen to me, right? Because that's where you never want to go. When you get out to the that'll never happen to me land, you've killed the value of your story. When you think that's the thing that's going to make them go, oh yeah, that's great, right? If I tell someone, hey, I responded to 100 people one month, they're like, that's never going to happen for me. I can't do it, right? You just can't do that, right? You have to be giving people things that are relatable. So those 5 things: the community, what you're learning, the value of your product or service, the great tools, and the support and the simplicity of how easy it is to work in. Those things, part of your experience, wrap the story up powerfully and make people they lean right in. They lean right in. They're like, this really sounds great. So keep that in mind. I hope this was helpful. If you haven't signed up for my blog yet and gotten my 27 phrases that work, that if you ever struggle with talking to people, make sure you do that, and feel free to share. And I'll see you next time.